Norfolk, Virginia, February 1992. A woman walks into a gas station with a stack of cashier's checks. She buys lottery tickets, all of them. Across the state, 34 other couriers are doing the same. 72 hours, 6.4 million tickets. The man running the operation is in Melbourne, Australia. His name is Stefan Mandel, a Romanian economist who has never bought a ticket in his life. By Saturday night, he will win $27 million. The FBI will spend 4 years trying to prove he cheated. They will fail, because Mandel did not cheat. He had found one mathematical formula every economist learns in their first year, a formula every actuary knows. Nobody had ever applied it to a lottery. To understand how that happened, you have to go back 27 years, before Virginia, before Australia, to a kitchen table in communist Romania. Stefan Mandel was born in Romania in 1934, a Jewish family. He survived the war as a child, quietly, in hiding, like thousands of others who did not survive. His father was an accountant. Numbers were the first language he ever spoke. By 1965, Mandel was 31 years old. A wife, 2 children, a small apartment in Bucharest. He worked as an economist at a state-owned mining company, a job that mostly involved cost analysis, payroll calculations, and writing statistical reports nobody ever read. His salary was 360 lei a month, about $10 US. Romania was a closed country. Nicolae Ceaușescu had taken power the year before, in 1965. He was tightening every door: passports, currency, exit visas, books, radios. The Securitate was watching, phones were listened to, letters were read. If you wanted to leave Romania, you needed money. Real money. The kind a clerk could not refuse. Mandel did not have it. He was never going to have it. Not on $10 a month. Not as a Jewish economist in a country that had built itself a wall. So he sat at his kitchen table at night, after his wife went to sleep, after his children went to sleep, a notebook, a pencil, a radio playing the state news in the background. He was not reading economics textbooks. He was reading actuarial tables, probability theory, combinatorics, Pascal, Fermat, Bernoulli, the mathematics that insurance companies and casino owners used to move money predictably from people who guessed to people who calculated. He once told a journalist what he was.
I'm a weekend mathematician, an accountant without too much education. But mathematics, properly applied, can guarantee a fortune.
Properly applied. That phrase did most of the work. Because Mandel had noticed something about the Romanian National Lottery. Something every economist could have noticed, but none of them ever did. To understand what he saw, you have to understand what a lottery actually is. A lottery is a tax, a small one paid voluntarily by people who cannot afford it. Governments love it. Every country runs one. The total revenue from state lotteries worldwide is over $300 billion a year. The math is simple and brutal. Pick 6 numbers from a pool of 49. Total possible combinations: 13,983,816. Your odds of winning the jackpot? 1 in 14 million. Your ticket costs $1. The lottery commission keeps roughly half of every dollar. The jackpot is built from the rest. On any normal week, your expected return is about 50 cents on the dollar. You lose. The state wins. That is the entire business. But sometimes nobody wins. The jackpot rolls over. Once, twice, 5 times. The pot grows. And here is what almost nobody notices. When the jackpot grows large enough, the math inverts. If the jackpot exceeds the cost of buying every possible combination, your expected return becomes positive. Buy them all. Win them all. Profit guaranteed. This was not Mandel's discovery. The principle goes back to 17th century France. Blaise Pascal and Pierre de Fermat solved the foundations of probability theory in 1654, a correspondence between 2 mathematicians, written in formal letters, about how to divide the stakes in an interrupted game of chance. 300 years later, the same equations sit at the heart of every casino, every insurance company, every pension fund on Earth. Actuaries know it, quants know it, bookmakers know it. The math has been printed in textbooks for over 100 years. That was the number Mandel had found, a ratio. So why has nobody ever beaten the lottery with it? Because the gap between knowing and doing is enormous. To buy 14 million tickets, you need $14 million. You need to print 14 million unique combinations. You need to physically deliver them to thousands of kiosks. You need 72 hours. You need a corporation, accountants, couriers, lawyers for the lawyers. You need infrastructure that no individual has ever built. Lotteries were designed by people who knew the math. They simply assumed nobody would be insane enough to try. Because to do it, you would need to be patient enough to spend years on the calculations, ruthless enough to bribe your way out of a communist country, and disciplined enough to scale the operation on 3 continents. Stefan Mandel was all of those things. He spent years working out the math that would make it possible. The first piece of the puzzle was finding a way to do it without $14 million. The first problem was the money. Mandel did not have $14 million. He had $10 a month, so he asked a different question. What if you did not need every combination? What if you could find a smaller set, a few hundred carefully chosen tickets that guaranteed not the jackpot, but second prize? 5 numbers out of 6. Smaller win, same certainty, far less capital. Mandel called this method combinatorial condensation. He worked on it for years. Notebooks filled, notebooks discarded, notebooks filled again. He never published the formula. When a journalist asked him for it decades later, he answered,
That would be like Coca-Cola revealing their recipe.
Straightforward. A standard 6 out of 49 lottery has roughly 5,000 5-number subsets. Mandel's algorithm reduced that to 569. Buy those 569 combinations, and if the 6 winning numbers fell anywhere inside your 15 chosen base numbers, you were guaranteed at least a second prize, plus hundreds of smaller wins, plus a real mathematical chance at the jackpot itself. 569 tickets instead of 5,000, a 10 times reduction in capital, the same statistical guarantee. March 1965. Mandel had the math. He needed the money. He found a partner, a friend with savings, a man who had managed to put aside enough money to take a serious bet on his neighbor's mathematics. They split the take 80-20. The friend put up the capital. Mandel put up the formula. They pooled the money. They bought the tickets, 569 of them. They marked every combination by hand, pencils, bet slips, the dim light of a single Bucharest apartment. The draw happens. They do not just hit second prize, they hit the jackpot, first prize on the first attempt. 72,783 lei, about $2,000 US. 4 years of an average Romanian family's income paid out in a single night. It is enough. Mandel uses the money for one thing. He bribes a man in the foreign ministry. Documents appear. Stamps appear. An exit visa appears. In a country where nobody leaves, Mandel leaves, with his wife, his 2 children, and a small leather suitcase containing 4 notebooks of calculations. First, Israel. He spends 4 years there, studies mathematics formally for the first time in his life. He sits in lecture halls 30 years older than most of the students around him. He refines the algorithm, tests new variations on smaller European lotteries. Some win, some don't. He learns from both. Then Western Europe, Italy, Germany, England, where he keeps refining the method and watching how state lotteries are run. Then, in the early 1970s, Australia. He arrives in Sydney with a suitcase, a wife, 2 children, and a mathematical method that he now believes can be scaled, not once, not twice, industrially. Over the next 15 years, Stefan Mandel would turn the Australian state lottery system into a private cash machine. Australia, in the 1970s, was the perfect laboratory. Multiple state lotteries running in parallel. New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, Western Australia, each with its own rules, its own jackpots, its own oversight. The country was wealthy. The cost of living was low. The regulatory bodies were small and slow. Mandel registered a syndicate. He called it the International Lotto Fund. The pitch was simple. Investors put in capital, usually through a 10-year whole life insurance policy with a $4,000 annual premium. Mandel handled the math, the printing, the logistics, the legal. When a jackpot in any Australian state crossed his threshold, 3 times the cost of all combinations, the syndicate moved. Now, Mandel was no longer condensing. He had built the infrastructure to do the unthinkable. Buy every single ticket. Warehouses, printers, couriers, lawyers, a team that could mobilize in 72 hours. A shell corporation called Pacific Financial Resources to handle the cash flows. A trust called the International Lotto Fund to handle the investors. The wins started. 1, 2, 5. By 1986, the syndicate had taken its first $1.1 million Australian jackpot. By the end of the decade, 12 Australian lotteries had paid out to Mandel, plus 400,000 smaller secondary prizes. The tickets that had hit 5 numbers, 4 numbers, 3 numbers, scattered across millions of bet slips. The lottery commissions noticed. They sent investigators, auditors, government accountants. They could not say he was cheating. He was not. He was buying tickets at the same counter as everyone else. The math did the rest. So Australia changed the law. A new rule written specifically for Mandel. No single buyer or syndicate could purchase tickets for every possible combination of a draw. The infrastructure he had built, 15 years of warehouses, printers, lawyers, accountants, was overnight illegal at home. Mandel did not retire. He bought a plane ticket. He started scanning American state lotteries, all of them, looking for the same condition. Small enough that all combinations were buyable, large enough that the rolled over jackpot crossed his threshold, loose enough that nobody would stop him in time. He scanned dozens of states. He waited. He read the rule books. Most US lotteries were too large, combinations in the tens of millions, beyond his threshold even for a syndicate. Then he found Virginia. The Virginia State Lottery used numbers from 1 to 44. Total combinations, 7,059,052. Less than half the size of an Australian draw, less than the population of New York City. Mandel began stockpiling tickets, pre-printing them in a Melbourne warehouse. 16 full-time employees, 30 computers running combinations, 12 laser printers feeding paper into boxes, 3 months of round-the-clock work, day shift and night shift, to print every one of the 7 million unique tickets needed to cover the entire Virginia draw. Then he waited for the Virginia jackpot to roll over. Wednesday, February 12, 1992. The Virginia jackpot crossed his threshold. Mandel had 72 hours. The plan had been ready for months. It activated in a single phone call. In Melbourne, the warehouse went hot. 7,059,052 pre-printed bet slips were boxed for shipment. Total weight, 1 ton of paper. Shipping cost, $60,000 US, paid in cash via international air freight. Destination, a private office leased weeks earlier in Norfolk, Virginia. 35 couriers were already on planes. Most of them were certified accountants. Mandel had hired professionals deliberately, people who could carry large sums of cash through airports without raising flags, people who knew how to read paperwork, people who would not panic at a customs question. They flew in on staggered flights from Melbourne, Sydney, and Auckland, into Dulles and Norfolk International, 2 days before the operation began. On the ground, one woman ran the entire operation. Her name was Nicolae Alex. She had a list of 125 gas stations and supermarkets across Virginia, every retailer with a high-volume lottery terminal. Each location was matched with a courier. Each courier was given a stack of cashier's checks for $10,000 apiece and a clipboard with their assigned bet slips. The instructions were simple. Walk to the counter, hand over the bet slips, hand over the check. Wait for the printed tickets. Box them. Move to the next location. Repeat. Thursday morning, operation begins. Couriers fan out across Virginia, Norfolk, Richmond, Roanoke, Arlington, Hampton. The terminals are slow. Each ticket takes a fraction of a second to print, but the volumes are absurd. Tens of thousands of tickets per location. $10,000 at a time. Some store managers don't understand what's happening. Some understand and are terrified. Some pour coffee for the couriers and watch. Friday morning, 36 hours to draw. A complication. One of the largest grocery chains operating in Virginia refuses to process the syndicate's tickets. Their machines cannot keep up. They cite policy. They cite store hours. They cite anything they can. 700,000 combinations are suddenly uncovered. Mandel is in Australia, on the phone, watching the operation by fax. He does not stop. He redirects couriers. He calls his lawyers in Norfolk. He recalculates coverage on the fly. The remaining locations push harder. Couriers buy through the night. Some of them have not slept in 36 hours. The cashier's checks pile up at registers. The boxes of printed tickets pile up in rented vans. By Saturday afternoon, 6,400,000 of the 7 million combinations have been physically purchased. Coverage 99.3%. A 0.6% gap where the jackpot might fall, and the syndicate would walk away with nothing. Saturday, February 15, 1992, 11:20 p.m. Eastern Time. The Virginia Lottery draws its numbers. 6 numbers fall. Mandel had bought all of them. The jackpot is $27,036,142, plus $900,000 in secondary prizes, 5 out of 6 matches scattered across hundreds of tickets, plus thousands of smaller payouts spread across the 6 million tickets that did not hit the top 6. Total operational cost, including printing, shipping, couriers, ticket purchase, and legal, approximately $5.5 million. Stefan Mandel, working from a desk in Melbourne, had just executed the largest single syndicate lottery win ever recorded. Then, the Virginia Lottery refused to pay him. The Virginia Lottery refused to pay. They suspected fraud. They could not name it. Mandel sued. He won. They paid. Then the bigger investigation began. 14 agencies, 3 countries, 4 years, FBI, CIA, IRS, the Australian Securities Commission, plus 10 others. They examined every ticket, every cashier's check, every investor, every courier, every gas station owner who had run a slip through a machine. They found no fraud, no bribery, no insider, no rigged draws. They found a man who had read a textbook and built the infrastructure, because buying every combination of a public lottery was, and is, completely legal. The Virginia Lottery had simply not believed anyone would actually do it.
I will live to be 150. I am not the type of person who lays down and dies because some glorified clerk doesn't know what he's doing.
Both governments did the only thing left to do. They changed the law. Stefan Mandel had not broken any, so they wrote new ones to make sure nobody could. After Virginia, Mandel's later ventures collapsed. By 1995, he was bankrupt. He served 10 months in an Israeli prison over a paperwork charge. The conviction was overturned. He had still served the time. Today, he is 91. He lives in a beach house in Vanuatu. He no longer plays the lottery. 14 wins, 0 charges, 1 island. When journalists ask him how a Romanian accountant on $10 a month extracted $27 million from Virginia in 72 hours, he gives them the same sentence every time.
But mathematics, properly applied, can guarantee a fortune.